So Maureen said she'd be a little bit late.
Okay, and I know I've got.
Oh, where's Allison, actually?
I don't, Allison, I'm not sure if is she supposed to be presenting?
I think she went on the
You
agenda.
you said you were trying to get her in.
Yeah.
Okay. I can pass along regrets from Phil, if anyone wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Is there something with Phil? I don't know. Is there something wrong with Phil, or he just?
No, it's purely scheduling conflict. He,
Oh,
has
sure.
he has a very hard time making anything in the afternoons.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he's back on the jobs at both the Vancouver Art Gallery and the Contemporary Art Gallery. So he's kind of full on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we got Jamie here, or am I just not seeing her up on my screen?
He's here.
Oh, okay, good. Hi, Jamie.
Mhm.
Should we jump in and just see if Allison joins whenever?
And maybe start with the action items.
I think there were no other late items other than the things you included yesterday. That's correct, Steph?
Nothing else.
Okay, so maybe we could just run in and start with the approval of the agenda as it was.
Here comes Allison.
Oh, okay. Great. Let's see where Allison. Hi, Allison.
Hey.
Hi. Welcome.
Hello. This
Hi.
is Haley.
Hi.
Hi, Haley.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. We're just gonna quickly sort out some steps here so that we're not you're not sitting here watching us do all these boring things, and then we can get talking to you. But we can, Steph, can we just quickly approve the agenda and then the adoption of the minutes and get that cleared up?
Yep.
Okay.
No late items.
Sorry, what was that?
I have no late items.
No late items. Okay. We'll move that the advisory committee approves the agenda as submitted by Steph. Everyone in favor?
Yep.
Yep.
Great. And the adoption of the minutes that Steph also sent out. I think everybody's had a chance to review those. They looked very comprehensive to me. So everyone else, we can vote on that as well.
I'm in favor.
Favor, thank you. Good. Okay. Excellent. Public comments. Do you want to just, what do we do with that, Steph? Leave it open in case somebody joins, and we can move on to Allison and Haley, the discussion there. Sorry, Steph.
She's on mute.
Oh, there you go.
There are no other members of the public. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's run right into item 4 then, and we can chat with Allison and Haley.
Hi.
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 Hi. So yeah, we are in our business here on Bowen Island. I'm not sure if you know what we do. We do botanical skin and hair care is what we make over here. We make it here and we sell it to around North America. But we have in our kind of mission as we grow to have a kind of charitable aspect of our business, and with Bowen being the focus. So we're just looking at different ways to contribute to the community. And we art lovers just noticed, we're trying to think of, is there anything we could do like that? And we just noticed that that lock block wall, it was kind of crying for something beautiful to be there, and came up with a kind of brainstorm, a couple ideas. But so we've never done never been involved with public art. I've no idea how it works or what, and so we have a bit of budget we could put towards it. But we don't want to do it if it's something that is really welcomed by the community and, that everyone wanted, and just kind of excited to kind of learn how that process would go, and if that might be something we could help contribute to.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think there would be a ton of enthusiasm, and I'm really grateful on behalf of the council that you've brought this forward to us. It's very exciting. I know as we had talked, Allison, the lock block wall is definitely a flashpoint item, location for Bowen, being so visible right as you come off the ferry, and obviously it is looking disastrously in need of some TLC. Everyone agrees with that.
Nice.
It is. It's been on our roster of discussions for a while. So this is really well timed, and I think there would be a ton of enthusiasm, not just from us, but the community at large, to see something happen there. Absolutely. So a support from local business would be immensely helpful as well, to seeing and realizing something there. So it sounds also, though, that you were looking for some something about the learning about the process and what's happening, or how that might happen. So I did, I think, go through a little bit of that process with you over the phone, and I think basically what would happen is we would as a committee be open to, if you have some specifics that you'd like to share in terms of imagery or ideas, or what you were thinking. I know we had a discussion, but I haven't spoken to the committee as a group about that. So do you want to just kind of repeat a little bit of what you were describing to me?
I actually put a little PDF together, so that's in the agenda there. If you want, you can have a look. I just did a little summary, and then there's some photos. Imagery.
Do you want me to share screen, or do you guys want to share screen?
Yeah. How do I do that?
I can do it.
Yeah, if you do that, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Steph. I didn't see that in the didn't see that link.
Do you want to talk us through?
Oh yeah, I don't. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah. So the idea we came up with was sort of to celebrate the biodiversity of Bowen Island, and we were thinking something kind of graphic and botanical. And as Scott mentioned, it's a really large wall, so maybe there is multiple artists could kind of collaborate on it. One idea was sort of the 4 seasons, like whether it's like a sort of a scene that goes through different seasons. Could be morning, night, and day, and kind of show like the insects and whatever until kind of afternoon, the sunshine, and the evening, the owls and the bats, or something like that. And then maybe could be more literal, as like ocean scene to beachy to foresty to meadowy. I was just sort of thinking of something where you're kind of, with the mural is kind of, you're kind of in the forest, like not like a landscape from far away, but more like you're just into the botanical world and all its little creatures and deers, and that's sort of, that was the idea. And this is Henry Rousseau inspiration, so I know we won't have a Rousseau across the gigantic thing, but that was our idea. Oh, Charlie.
Well, I think it's a fabulous idea. Yeah.
Thank you, Greta. I totally agree. Yeah. And I love those visuals.
Yeah.
So just to be clear on process, normally if there's a delegation, then the committee members will ask questions of the delegates, but there's no decision making it while the delegates are here.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Good
Thanks for
question there.
clarification on that process. Yes.
Thank you.
Good. So we'll open that up to the committee. Did anybody have any questions specific to Allison's proposal?
Did you have artists in mind, Allison, to do the painting? Or do you just like the concept?
No, don't have an artist in mind. So I talked to Scott about he suggested maybe like an open call. Yeah, and I think ideally the idea would be local, and I think Scott suggested also maybe it's local artists, and maybe you'd get a expert mural artist to help maybe with that scale, because it's just so that you could use artists that might not work in that scale already, but that could bring their artwork to life.
Okay, Allison, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the proposed budget, because when we first started talking about the wall, it became clear that money was going to have to be spent cleaning it and pressure washing it and all that kind of thing. And so that's kind of an area that I'd be a little bit apprehensive about, shall we say?
Yeah. Scott helped me with the budget because he has, as you mentioned, you've already been in discussion and looked at what that might cost. So Scott helped me look at a budget, and as far as what our contribution, I don't have it confirmed yet, the total amount that we could contribute, but I think we could come maybe even close to the total amount, or I have to confirm it with my board here once yeah, maybe it'd be nice if there's a little bit maybe of support from the arts community, if there was some government funding for it, that'd be great. If not, I could see if I could get the total approved by my board, but it's just, yeah, I don't have our contribution yet confirmed. Yeah, not yet, but if it was to go forward, I could just have to work with you guys to figure that out, I guess.
Hey, Allison. Hi, I'm Jamie. We haven't met yet. I'm at the
Hi.
Hearth.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Great idea. I love it.
Thanks.
I just have a couple questions. I'm fairly new on the island, so I'm still trying to catch up. What board are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, my business.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm a founder of a business, a skincare haircare business. So I have a board of investors that we have some charitable budget for charitable donations.
Oh, you do?
And so that's why I'm looking at putting towards art, and that, but I have to get, if it's approved by you, I have to also get the amounts approved by the team here to make sure that that's all good to go with everyone involved on our end. So yeah.
It's wonderful that you have an arm length charitable part of your business. That's really great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Giving back to the community is really great.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of learn about this. It's kind of cool to be able to be in that position to kind of go, okay, there's like it's sort of really exciting for us to learn about it and see how that, how you can give back, right? It's cool.
That's wonderful. Great. I think that answers a lot of my question now about the budget.
Okay.
And I might just weigh in. As Allison mentioned, I tried to help out a little bit about trying to get some parameters around that, some of those numbers, and also kind of in response to your point, Greta, about the preparation amounts and stuff. I know when we had discussed as the PAAC about that other idea of spraying the kids and making painted outlines and stuff, that it was going to be necessary to actually get those concrete blocks stripped of paint, which was prohibitively expensive without some assistance somewhere. And so I think that apart from COVID, I think that was part of the reason we were delayed in trying to make any decisions with that. But if we were going to a suggestion of painting a mural, then in fact, the full stripping down to bare concrete wouldn't be necessary. We could get away with a very good power wash cleaning that the municipal works yard could handle. I'm in speaking with Rachel, who's the direct head there. I don't know what her title is, superintendent. for the works yard, that would be possible. And also maybe, you know, some general cleaning of the surrounding blackberry vines and all the rest of it, just to spruce up the location before we went to any other trouble and expense of making it even more pretty. So that's where that sort of loose figure came from. I think that's a malleable one. We'd have to, you know, actually sit down and have proper discussions, but I was putting that number out there. So just to be clear, it wasn't for a full concrete paint stripping of the panels, or of the blocks, sorry.
Sorry, Scott, so you're saying this number is
That number there, yeah.
a painting number or the water number?
No, that is a pressure washing general site cleanup, you know, to get it
Okay.
ready for any subsequent improvements that would be happening there. Yeah. Any other questions from our committee here?
I don't have a question, but I just would really like to thank you for coming forward, Allison and Haley. I'm Maureen Nicholson. I'm one of the councillors. And when I was first elected, one of my promises to myself was that something happening with that block wall if it killed me. So it's been what, 6 years now, and we have taken multiple runs trying to make some headway. And sort of what those multiple runs have amounted to was council giving the direction that, well, we needed a committee, so we have a committee. The other was you need a budget in place. And the municipality a couple of years ago made a commitment to put aside some money for public art every year. So that's been building up a bit. So I think, as Scott said, this is absolutely the perfect time to come forward, and to be coming forward with the possibility of a significant donation to support the work is really welcomed. And I thank you very much for thinking about this as your contribution to Bowen.
Well, thanks so much. That's really kind and nice to hear. Great. That's great.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay. So should we sign off then and let you guys get to your meeting?
Yeah, unless there's any other questions that you guys had before you wanted to exit.
I guess the one question I have was, I guess one of my hesitations when after I heard that there was different ideas put forth, I just wouldn't want anyone else to feel like, you know, because we're a business that our idea got put forward, and like I wouldn't want to be like to, you know, take it, you know, not let the kids do it. If the kids wanted to do it, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or yeah. So I just want to make sure that it would be something that that was welcomed, you know what I mean, in all regards of just the community. I hate to have our first kind of footing into public art to be something that was controversial or something like that. So I guess that's one of my biggest concerns, is just because it's also new and we're a really small business and really care about doing something that people are going to like, and that just don't want to make sure we step on anyone's toes, I guess.
Don't get away from the children.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who heard about the children, the idea with the children and the spraying of the water.
Yeah.
It does sound amazing. And yeah, we wouldn't want to upset the children.
And could I just ask,
Sorry, go ahead, Rita.
what did you envision as a time frame?
Well, as far as, I guess, logistically, I have no idea because that's just not my area. But I mean, I think I was imagining spring, summer, because it seemed like that's the time of year to paint an outdoor wall. But I think that'll come down to just all. Yeah. So it'd be great if they could do it this spring, summer, I guess, was what I was thinking. But I have no idea what the logistics are around and all the approvals and everything. So I leave that probably more up to you guys what that would look like.
Well, I was just wondering, as far as your board is concerned, what would be the time frame around when they would grant their decision?
Yeah. I could get it approved pretty quickly. Yeah, within a week or two or sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just would need
That's
to
awesome.
have, just have a bit of I have to just come back with saying this is why this is, and even just hearing that it really is a welcome thing, I think is great. That helps us kind of pitch it back to them to say this is where, you know, we should allocate that much of the charitable donation. So yeah, so I'll have to kind of pitch it back to them after what I've heard what you guys say, and if it's approved, then we can just check in and see if yeah, how much we can contribute.
Okay, that's
Great,
excellent. On
thanks.
behalf,
Just,
behalf of sorry, who's?
it's Gillian.
Oh,
I just
sorry.
wanted, I just wanted also to thank you for bringing this forward, and just to let you know that conceptually what you're thinking of there aligns very well with our plans across the community. Everything from the
Indeed.
official community plan to the cultural master plan and the parks plan. It's all, we seem to be rooted in this deep sense of identity and connection to our natural land and commitment to conservation and proper stewardship. So this aligns very nicely with that. So.
Oh, great to hear. Lovely. Okay, that's really nice to hear.
Totally. And rest assured, you're not stepping on any children's toes.
Yep.
That one wasn't going to get off the ground yet. So no worries there.
Okay, great. Okay, that sounds good. Well, I guess we'll just touch base later, I guess, and after you guys have your have the rest of your meeting, and let me know if there's any questions, or yeah, open to more conversations at any point as well.
Fantastic.
Thank
Thank you
you.
both.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Okay. Do we want
What
to?
Sorry, what, are we going to talk about this now? Or is that?
There is
set
a
later?
section, I just thought knockout action items, and then there's a section on lock block wall coming up.
Okay, let's chew on what we've just heard while we go through a couple of these other items, and we can get back. We can go to a discussion on this. I'm sure everybody is excited to hear that. So review of the action items. That attachment is up. So I'm just going to, as I look off to the side here.
I can put it on the screen if you'd like.
So that first item, review of the spreadsheet. I know there were.
That's on the agenda.
What's that?
That's on the agenda.
Sorry, what's on the agenda?
The review of the
The
spreadsheet.
reviewing of the spreadsheet. Oh, okay, sorry, gotcha.
Number 2, amending the acquisition procedure. Check, done, complete.
Okay, so that one was done. The undercurrent article. Am I missing something? Was that a suggestion and I've forgotten that somebody put that up?
It was part of discussion from the last set of minutes. I don't know how urgent it was.
Okay, to make an introduction of Bowen Island PAAC.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think obviously if we're proceeding with some mural action on the lock block wall, that's definitely something we want to have at the ready. And so I guess the question for us would be how much in advance, when would be a good moment to make an introduction to the community, like the spring. Like, should we think about late March or early April or something?
Well, I think that some of it's going to be dependent on what we decide about this proposal. We would want to make sure that we were introduced to the general public prior to an announcement being made.
Absolutely. Yep. And in fact, you know, sorry, we're going to be mixing up a little bit of the agenda items here, but if we were actually seeing a proposal with a budget attached to it soonish from Allison, that you know, the first step, our first next steps would actually be creating an open call framework, and so we actually would probably want the public to know who we were before we started asking them to submit things.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so maybe this is something that needs to be started like sooner than later. Has anything been done in regards to an introduction? I don't think there has, but am I wrong in that? No. Okay. So that's actually what we need. Then we can maybe turn that, give some
Well-
thought to. We'll have to turn that into a draft, an introductory notice for the undercurrent. So is that something anyone is like interested in taking a first stab at? Anybody got enough or got some openings on their plates at all for something like that?
Should that be something that Sophie does as communications officer? No, for BIM? Oh, okay.
She'll communicate
that-
your work, our work.
Okay. Don't you have sort of a brand of communications for the municipality, and Sophie would know that and follow
Yeah.
that?
Yes, but as Steph said, the raw content, and sometimes it's pretty well developed, comes from the committees themselves. Sophie would tune it up. She would circulate it through municipal communication channels, put it on the website, that kind of thing. But she would expect the committees themselves to generate the content. And I'm just a little concerned in that I know that Bronwyn's and Maribeth beforehand, their principle was, is it news? And I'm not certain that they would see the establishment of the committee as being news. I know that they would see the launch of an artist competition as being news. So that sort of two-step process of talking about the committee, they might not be that keen on running the first part.
I might disagree with that. Committee that has such a public-facing presence and an effect. We're the end result of our activities is very
Visible.
very visible. Yeah. So not to say that you're wrong there. I understand what you mean. It's just a committee. Oh well. But in fact, I think there's to have things occur out in the public that we're intending to do when we start becoming visibly active there, without a prior announcement, it might. I think that we don't need to work under a surprise or a cloak. I think that would be a good thing.
Okay. Then position the article as the why this committee matters.
Yes, right.
And I think if you frame it in that way, you're more likely to get the undercurrent's interest.
This is true. I've met with Bronwyn on a number of occasions for other reasons. I could certainly give her a ring and float the idea and see what the response is and where she thinks it might suitably fit within the undercurrent.
Sounds good.
And so I don't see anybody jumping up to the task of drafting anything.
I think it's you.
Might be me, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
Maybe a
do it.
conversation, Scott.
What's that?
Maybe a conversation rather than a readied article, and she can choose.
That's not a bad suggestion. Yeah. Yeah.
And that also takes it off of Sophie's plate. She can amplify what's in the undercurrent, but doesn't have to give it a municipal workover.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Can
Steph, throw that on me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jamie.
Sorry, can we just go back just a little bit in the sensitivity that Allison had about how it looks to the community that a business is going to sort of do this job? I think that we need to be sensitive with that and just not just come out to the community and say, hey, this business is going to give us some money and they get to take this project on. I think that it has to be done in a proper way. and not to slow process down, but it's almost like you need to do a call out to the community of what they want to see on that wall. But I don't want to start this from scratch. I'm just saying that it's just what people will see and how it was managed. And
well, in fact, because we would be running this as an open call, the decision about what eventually might show up there, it would be at our discretion on PAAC, as well as community involvement on what we might call the jury, right? So we're not just foisting something onto them. And in terms of the idea of it being attached to a business, in fact, it's not. And Allison, whether that wasn't clear in what she was saying there, but in the conversation I had with her, this is not meant as a vehicle of advertisement for Sangre de Fruta at all. This is definitely a business offering a donation to the Bowen Island community to do a thing. The only loose stipulation I heard from Allison at all was more about the visuals, which we've already talked about, which is a botanical or nature-based and all these things that I think everybody has already expressed, even before this proposal, had already expressed support of that kind of iconography. So that certainly fits within everything that we're looking for as well. So I definitely understand your the care in which we want to be perceived in playing this out, but we every step would be at a certain remove from an over, it's just not one committee or one person dictating what was going to show up there. There's a lot of safety measures in place for that kind of perspective, to avoid that kind of perspective. Yeah, for sure. So, okay, so I'm just going to just get this back on track. We're going to run through this. Steph, to be clear, I'll take on the first draft anyway of the notice of the committee, and I'll go have a conversation with Bronwyn at the Undercurrent. Next one. So ideas. So this, I think, is you, Jamie, isn't it?
We have an agenda item for that.
Oh, okay, so shall we just wait for that then?
Yep.
Okay, next one, number 5.
Is Jackie, who is not here.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Jamie, do you know anything if Jackie communicated with you about that? About reaching out to the donor who had expressed interest in providing a piece of public art in Cove Commons. I think there was an assumption that because this person had moved off the island, the offer was no longer in place.
Right.
Follow up and find out if perhaps it was still in place.
I didn't follow up with that person. I don't know who it is, so I'm not sure if Jackie was meant to do that or it was just
Jackie was meant to do that, but she's not on the committee. So I maybe follow up with Jackie, then I'll add myself to that and communicate back by email.
Okay, thank you, Steph.
Okay.
Jamie, number 6.
I think that maybe Gillian would speak on that. I'm not sure where that landed with the 2021 budget. But I submitted, I submitted that one work plan, but that's.
So that's complete. And then she'll do a quick verbal report on that later.
Yeah.
And then number 7 was not included in this agenda because I think this situation has gotten a little more complicated.
Okay, I'd be happy to table that one because
Okay,
we're
perfect.
not going to get any further on. It's going to take up time that we spend on other things that are more pressing.
I do not believe that this is July 23rd, Phil, regarding template for proposal.
Yeah, actually, I do want him to get on that because that's gonna help us move forward with any open call.
I can give him a little prompt on that as well.
Yeah.
2 nagging points today.
Yay. All right.
And Councillor, sorry, I'm taking over, Scott. Go ahead.
No, do it. No, go.
Okay, Councillor Nicholson was going to include art in strategic planning?
It was mentioned, and gosh, this is a long time ago, isn't it?
Mhm.
I brought it up. I have not seen the revision of the Snug Cove design guideline. I'm not sure where they're at, but as far as my task was concerned, that was done a long
Okay.
time ago.
Snug Cove design. And then these two documents, so Gillian would inherit Shauna's task, but again, that's become a bigger issue. Gillian, do you want to?
Well, just to say that we've looked into the templates that we have with the municipality, and none of them are quite right. So it's an ongoing item that requires a little bit more work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So ongoing. I'm
Okay.
done, Chair, Mr. Chair, and can move on.
Excellent.
Oh,
All right, so we're on number 6 set updates. Gillian, you've got something for us?
So at the November 23rd council meeting, the resolution was passed that this budget was referred to the chief financial officer for consideration in the 2021 budget planning process. So at this time, the $10,000 contribution is in policy, and that has been done, the annual contribution. The $2,500 provision has been included in the operating budget for various aspects of work with maintenance and I think different aspects we'd choose to use that for, ongoing maintenance and administration. Anything additional that we choose to use from the Public Art Reserve is not currently included, but provisions can be made for that later on down the year if there can be a revision to the capital plan for the small amounts such as $5,000 from the Public Art Reserve if we choose to do that.
Okay, so to clarify, there's we have a general operating amount of $2,500 just for general small task maintenance costs and promotion or whatever. Then the 10,000, which is something that is applied every year. So do we, if it was 10,000 last year and 10,000 for this year, does that mean we've got a 20,000 plus amount in reserve?
I'm not sure about the plus, but 20,000, yes.
I meant with the 2,500. I guess that's not is that just an amount we can draw from?
So readily available in the 2021 is $10,000. That additional 10,000 that's in the reserve could be accessed, but there's a bit of a process to go through for that.
Gotcha. Okay. You mean that additional 10,000 that was actually earmarked from last year or stuff
Correct.
but we had spent some of that, right?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if we had. I don't think so.
When did the amount come out for the Spirit of the Flame repainting? That would have been last year, no?
Yes, and that probably would have been out of the 2,500. But I apologize. I'm
okay. I see. Yeah, you're right. Gotcha. Okay, I understand.
But the additional proposed amounts that were requested in terms of communications and education and research and development for a community center project, those were not funds that went into the 2021 budget.
Okay, gotcha. Any questions from anybody? No. Okay. The draft work plan.
Well, as Jamie said, that was prepared after our last meeting, and if we choose to update it in recognition of the budget that we have and what our plans are, then that's something obviously that we could do.
Okay. Yeah, I think once we solidify any details around the lock block wall proposal, then we can kind of maybe revisit the work plan. We'll have some more firm numbers and ideas to throw in there, so we'll leave that for now. And we don't have to regular council meeting.
It was just provided for your reference.
Oh, okay, thank you.
A recommendation that
needed to Bob on. Okay. So then let's move on to number 7, lock block wall. Thank you, Steph, for bringing some of these bits together, and even some photos and ideas. Now that everybody's had a chance, everybody's met Allison and heard that proposal. So I guess.
Do you want me to put these on the screen then? Do it.
You can. I mean, or
Run
I
through?
assume that maybe everybody's had a chance to just go through them. I think before you do that, though, Steph, I just wanted to say that like the lock block wall, as hideous as it is now, it is really ripe for so many great ideas, and I think that's why there's been so much enthusiasm around it, not just from us, but obviously from the community as well. The idea that we could maybe activate that wall on a intermittent but regular basis would be really fantastic, to make that a kind of ongoing standing item for us as a committee. And so all of these ideas, from the children's spray painting to the heritage images and stuff like that, all fantastic ideas, at some point would look amazing up there. And I wanted to just talk really briefly about an idea. This was actually Phil's idea. So in his absence, I wanted to just throw this out, that the lock block wall, the physical presence of that is challenging to address with direct mural painting on top of it. You've still got gaps and mismatch and all kinds of things, and trying to deal with paint existing outside for long periods of time, all that sort of stuff. So one of Phil's ideas actually was the only real visible section from the road is actually 1 block up from the ground. That's your sort of visual mark on that whole strip. And one of the what Phil was thinking was it wouldn't be that challenging to drill in permanent threaded inserts at from a template at exact locations where standard sheet size like a signboard could be attached, and any artworks could be done on signboards that were then attached to the lock block wall and could be removed, repaired, or replaced without very much difficulty. And it also allows for anything that might be going up on the wall could actually be brought into artist studios to be worked on, rather than outside in the elements and that sort of thing. So I'm only saying that because I think that I think we should welcome all kinds of ideas. And maybe what we do is we make the open call for lock block wall art proposals a biannual thing, so that any one thing is only going to be up for 2 years, and then then it can change over. What are your thoughts about an idea like that?
I love the idea of the pre-drilled panels or whatever, because I kept thinking, well, if someone's out there, like everybody's out there doing work on the lock block wall, how does that work with ferry unloading and loading and the cars, and where the people can't walk along there and then they have to go on the road, and then there's that whole issue. So the fact that the artwork can be created off-site and then just installed, I think is great.
It's not that dissimilar an idea from actually what's underneath the Ron Woodall item. What was important in his idea was not so much the images, but the notion of a gallery where the panels, either wood or vinyl, could be changed on an ongoing basis. There was a concern about equity and allowing more access to more artists in that area, as opposed to identifying 1 or 2 artists and giving them such prominent space at the entrance to the island.
So I agree. I really like the idea of being able to change things up. And one thing going to have to really be careful about what these panels are made of, because if you remember the ones that were put up for the Olympics, or that was commissioned by a number of Bowen Island artists, and the weather really took its toll on them. And
Yeah.
so we need to be really thoughtful about what these panels that can be put up and taken down are constructed out of.
Indeed, yeah, that's absolutely a major concern, Greta, and that was why I was suggesting a product called it's actually called Signboard. It's what the highway infrastructure people use for highway signs. If they're not out of the extruded aluminum, they actually use this. It's like a impregnated epoxy plywood with a thin phenolic, very, very thin phenolic sheet on either face. It's super durable. It doesn't warp or bulge when it gets wet, and it has a really amazing surface on which to actually paint. So, or anything. I mean, we could do anything on that stuff. Paint it, put vinyl on it, photo imagery. The use of that board is actually opens up a lot of possibilities for all kinds of different. If you want to talk about equity, like the boards can be slightly different sizes. It could be a mosaic. They can tie in together. Lots of different potential for materials on that as well.
Do we know the cost of that stuff?
Well, I can find that out, and I can probably arrange a wholesale price through my brother's company, which could help. We might even be able to do that through the Bowen Muni as well, and have a bunch of sheets delivered. I can look into that. I don't think it's prohibitive. It sounds like it would be, but it's really just a plywood sheet, so it's reasonable. Part of maybe the bonus of beginning beginning a project on the lock block wall that is a donation from outside the committee and outside the municipality is that we can maybe underwrite some of those expenses through the donation, which could help. So we blast out with a really great thing that is a good first run of infrastructure and prep, and then we have access to it in ongoing from there without very much. The boards can be flipped and reused and all kinds of things. So the expenses they won't repeat all the way down. Every time we make a decision, it won't be the same level of expense on that. That's the other advantage too.
But if we had a display up and the 2 years was up, and we'd made a decision about a new concept, if we're taking the boards down and people are taking them away to do it in the studio, what's going to be there to replace them?
Well, I would think that we probably want to leave
back to having a blank wall again.
Yeah, we don't want a blank wall, but we could certainly leave work up and have other work prepped on other boards.
Oh, okay.
I don't think the expense wouldn't be like so prohibitive that we couldn't have duplicate sheets or swapping sheets in and out.
Okay.
The board, what did I just call it? Signboard is the general name for it. I don't know if there's a.
I just Googled it and it's what is signboard made of, and they gave a few different options. I'll just put signboard in the minutes. Okay.
Yeah, you're not going to get the signboard is. Let me see.
It's okay, Scott.
All right. I can dig into it and send a spec sheet around stuff that you can forward if you want with pricing. So based on that, do we want to just, do we want to have a quick conversation about Allison's proposal specifically? Does anybody have questions around that, or what next steps would be, or?
Well, I have a comment. I remember Diana Izdebski, who's actually the artist of that painting behind me.
Yes.
She had reached out a while ago thinking of a concept not unlike Allison's.
Okay.
So I think, I've just, do we ask her to be the artist, or do we?
Well, no, she should apply to, like, we would
Put a
create an
call
open
out, right?
call, and
Yeah.
she should absolutely apply to the open call. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I just had an idea, so that I really like the graphic nature of it. I think that'll look really great on that space. And what the graphic nature of that artwork would allow, it could be, we could involve the community in a way that, because it's graphic, if someone designs it, an artist designs it off-site and then transfers it to these panels, we could actually kind of make it like a paint by number. Like they could graphically design the shapes and put a number to it, and then we could have community members volunteer to actually do the painting. Just a thought.
Thoughts on that? I tend to avoid situations like that.
Okay.
Just to maintain a level of professionalism.
Okay.
I like that. I know it's great to try and find ways of involving the community, but
Yeah.
there, to be honest, have already been a lot of opportunities for getting kids involved in painting up at Bix and things like that. So as one of our first projects out of the gate, I'd really like it to look pro. And so, having someone like, sorry, is her name Deborah behind you?
Diana.
What's that?
Hi, Diana.
Hi. Okay, sorry. She spent how many untold numbers of hours and years honing her craft. That's really who we want to be seen working on it. But I get what you're saying. I love it. But yeah, I think there's a time and a place. I'm not sure that this is it.
Right. No problem.
I think municipal council would also be more comfortable with the professional first time we're doing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question, how you all feel about the style of the art. Is it something that's abstractly representing our natural flora and fauna? Is it biologically accurate? So I'm curious of people's perceptions there or ideas.
Well, I guess we would have to look at what the call out generated, and artists would submit their ideas and perhaps samples. And I don't think we should decide ahead of time because we don't know who those artists might be.
Right. I guess I was thinking it from the other perspective. If it was important to us that it is accurately representing the plants and animals that live here, then that would be part of the call out.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to be a little bit specific with the call out so that you keep it somewhat controlled. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of ideas. So yeah, there should probably be some guidelines. One of them, I think, is it should be a larger scale image as opposed to really small detail, because most people are, either driving or walking by and don't have time to stop and look at a little beetle on a branch. So,
Right.
More stylized. I think following what's on the island as a theme for flora and fauna, I think is important. You're not going to put a cactus on an image because that's not native to Bowen Island. So I think in your call out, it has to be a little bit more directed.
Yeah, it's always a very tough line to follow. You want to guidelines are important. You don't get such a crazy array of submissions. So definitely we want to have that sort of, and that loose thematic. It's something we have to work within. At the same time, you know, we don't want to be too prescriptive because then you unnecessarily cut out potentially very good artists who might feel like, oh, well, my work doesn't really apply with, I don't use a lot of yellow in my work, so I'm not going to submit, you know, that sort of thing. So you gotta, it's a very fine line, a nice balance we'll have to strike for sure. Is everyone, the line of questioning is making me wonder, when we talk about an open call, is everyone, does everyone understand sort of how that would play out, or would it be helpful for me to explain like kind of the steps and how it works and what we would expect at each step? Should I quickly talk about that? Okay. So essentially what happens is we determine these ideas of what the loose thematics would be, what we'd like to see, what we're trying to accomplish, what we're talking about. And an open call gets drafted. It goes out to the public. We put it on the website. We put it in the undercurrent. We put it on posters. We promote this open call to the public, and with a time frame. And what we're asking for is based on the thematic, based on our proposal, we're asking for submissions from the public. There's no money that changes hands at this point. We ask artists for basically expression of interest. Yes, hey, I'm interested in that call. I think what I do would fit. Yes, I'm interested. And then also here are, and we would make this request, is part of their proposal should include, you know, a short letter of their interest, why they're interested, perhaps a CV. We always like to know, you know, it's a good idea to find out where people are coming from in terms of their artistic backgrounds. And then we would ask for a certain number of examples, images or whatever of work, previous work, in any format. Doesn't really matter. We're just trying to get a sense of the kind of work the artist makes. So then all those get grouped, and perhaps, you know, we anonymize them somehow so that a jury is just looking at a letter and artworks as an example without names attached, so there's no conflict of interest perhaps. And through that, then a jury is formed to decide or shortlist all the submissions down to whatever we decide, 3 people, 5 people, whatever, a short list. That was identified in the budget that I sort of drafted quickly for Allison there, 2-step process. And then the jury would convene to determine, like, choose however number of artists out of the short list. So if it's a short list of 5 or 6 and we're narrowing it down to 3, the jury is making that determination. And we'd have to decide how the jury is composed. Usually it's a couple of our professionals, somebody or 2 from our committee, member of the public or 2, that sort of thing. So council members that, will make up the jury that way. And then once the shortlist has been decided on to the selected artists, then those selected artists are then paid the shortlisted artists are paid a fee to develop further proposals. And then the jury is deciding to select out of those proposals that are more specific to the lock block wall proposal. So first we get an understanding of what all the artists are doing out there and what kind of work they make. We're deciding from there about a short list. The shortlisted people get paid a small honoraria to develop a specific proposal to the lock block wall. More specifically, the jury convenes, decides on who the artists will be to actually get success, who are successful, and then those artists were then contracted to carry out the work for the actual lock block or for the actual art. So that's the process. That makes sense?
So we decide ahead of time how many artists we're going to pick, or do we wait and see what the proposals are and decide, okay, well, we only like 1? Or
sure, yeah. I mean, we want to allow ourselves some discrepancy in decision making, right? So that's why generally those things are we will shortlist up to 6 artists out of all the submissions. So that can be anywhere from 1 to 6 or none. I mean, there is that sad option too. Like maybe we don't see anything, but I doubt that that's going to be the case. It's rare, terribly rare. But so we say up to 6 shortlisted artists, or up to 5, or whatever it is, whatever the budget's actually going to allow for, because we are going to be paying money for that. And then from there, we're not actually admitting anything in advance or saying that we're going to choose 3. Like, yeah, that's a decision I think the jury needs to make over the course of discussions.
Right.
We could say we'll choose up to 3, right? That is a very big space to contend with for one person. That's kind of why I suggested to Allison that we would consider hosting discrete segments that maybe 2 or 3 or even more, maybe all 5 of them are chosen, I don't know, would be selected for that, just because it would be so overwhelming for one person. And also it's just more interesting. You get a 3 different perspectives or ideas and artistic responses to the call,
There's one additional piece, and the final decision is subject to council review and approval.
Okay.
So it would not be a final decision by the jury. The jury would make a
Jury recommends
recommendation,
too.
and that's in our policies.
Okay. Perfect. Yep. That makes sense. There we go. Okay. That's the entire sequence.
I don't know if it makes sense, but it's in
No,
the
thank you.
policy.
That's good. So yeah, based on all of that now,
Just one more point, Scott.
Yep.
The other thing that was important when we were doing the crosswalk project was to identify in quite a bit of detail the materials that would be used, and for example, the size of the slime boards. All of that needs to be presented as part of the call, so people know what the physical constraints are that they're working with.
absolutely. Yep. Very good point. Yeah. All of those details would be part of the open call parameters of the project, proposed project. Yeah. So before we move on,
Can I jump in? So we can do a resolution as a committee without making a recommendation to council, but just maybe kind of do a hands up on what we're agreeing on to this point.
Mhm.
Would that be of value now, just to get this lock wall has been batted around for a long time, so we would kind of make some bullet points. It's just for the committee's purposes. It doesn't go anywhere.
sure.
If I do a share screen,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Just to get some, yeah. So I've just got the committee resolve to move forward with this project, including the following elements. Panels, flora and fauna, open call. Be specific. Like, is the committee agreeing on these elements, or
Yeah.
gotten anything, or like, do we want to talk about size or quantity of artists? Suggest it.
We could
You're not telling council, just for you
yeah.
to have something on the record for how it's moving forward.
Okay, well, the open call obviously is like whatever we get. There's not a limitation on the numbers that we're going to accept. Something like this will probably garner quite a bit of interest, I suspect. So I think we'd have a good amount of work to,
But how many works would you be? How many signboards were you thinking?
Oh, I'd have to do the measurements on that to figure out how many we'd need across the lock block. That one drawing of the lock blocks didn't have a dimension. Does anybody remember what the total linear footage was along there? No, me neither.
No, what we have, I can find that great graphic that just showed it was.
Yeah, but it was no. I know there were no numbers on that one though.
Just a count of the blocks, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, did it
Yeah.
change the size of the blocks?
It's also outdated because it preceded the reshaping of the corner
Okay.
and the
Okay.
boulder installation. So we need something new that reflects what's actually there.
I might just have to take a walk down to the Cove.
Well, we might find that we aren't able to do the entire wall in one go. It might be a phased approach. So maybe we
Yep.
have to identify how many boards.
Absolutely. Yeah, we wouldn't need to fill the whole thing. And I mean, the other advantage as well to the panels is, let's say that you had, 8 panels for one artist, and then you had a strip of panel that were really just a blank color, anything you want, and then the next artist would go along. So it doesn't have to be continuous. You could do, like you say, as much as you want. It would, that could be quite helpful.
Steph, just a small point for bullet number 2. Can you say native to Bowen Island instead of
Good call.
from?
And at the very beginning, can we just confirm with Public Works that they don't have an issue with us drilling into those blocks? Because if something's twigging that the prior superintendent of Public Works had concerns about the stability of the blocks if we started drilling into them. And we never got as far as talking about, well, how far would we drill into them? What does that actually look like? But that's step 1 to get the okay for the signboard approach.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I know that it would be a non-issue. Drilling would certainly not compromise any of it, and it's not going in very far, and it's not going to put any stress on the blocks, but we certainly should be running that by Public Works. That's good. Thank you.
Well, and also,
If they don't like the drilling, can we put something along the top where we hang things down and then fasten at the bottom somehow?
Absolutely.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
all possible for sure.
I think
Yeah.
we have to remember how people act sometimes. So that has to be strong enough to support the weight of somebody hanging from it.
Climbing.
Talking
Potentially.
about my kids again, Gillian.
Yeah. Teenagers, right?
How people act sometimes.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
So I just want to go back to Jamie's point about native flora and fauna. And I'm not sure if we should say native. There's an awful lot of plants growing very prolifically here on Bowen that are not native. They've been imported at some point and taken over.
That exists or something.
And so, I
would-
mean,
yeah.
I get we don't want to have cactus and palm trees and whatnot, but
Hey, I've got a palm tree.
oh, okay, sure, sorry. It's just that I know when we look at even the work that's being done by the invasive people, there all those things we take for granted are native, but they're not. They're invasive. So I'm just throwing that out there that
Yeah.
if we had somebody paint something and it was supposed to be native, I know there would be a Bowen Island gardener would come along and say that's not native.
Absolutely.
Well, I would be very happy to be part of the process confirming that what they choose to paint is native to Bowen. I would strongly be in support of it being not native to Bowen, not naturalized or invasive or horticultural.
But again, that's being quite prescriptive, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's lots of
Work for another committee.
Yeah. But the thing about it is too, a lot of people don't know what's native
Mhm.
and what's not. So
And wouldn't it be interesting to see an artist's interpretation of all of the invasive species on Bowen?
oh yeah, sure.
Like
But
that is
Provocative.
right?
I would say as long as there's some interpretation around it as well, like say,
Not
do not
weed.
plant this in your garden, but I am
mean-
a botanist and horticulturalist as well, so.
Yeah, but
I
when you
appreciate
think
the
about it, all
sensitivity.
those blackberries growing over the wall, they're not native.
Right, so I don't think we should have them painted on there. But I
Okay.
do admit that I'm a bit of a purist in this regard, so
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
It sounded as though we agreed that it would be a good thing to have the boards prepared off-site. It doesn't quite fit as a bullet, but we should maybe capture that.
Okay. Art to prepare, is that the word?
I don't know. That's the idea, anyway.
Mhm.
Sorry.
There you go.
In awe of artists, so.
There you go. I like it. That's a good, that contains the thinking quite well.
So the size is not, it's just larger scale is something Jamie identified. So take this size of works out. And I'm just a little bit confused about the quantity because a couple of the ideas on the agenda were many, like as many blocks as there are. And then the Sangre de Fruta, they just talked about 3 for the whole wall.
They were talking about potentially 3 artists, but it could be, it could be a continuous thing or whatever. But if we went ahead with the putting the boards up or painting on boards, then the standard size of those is 4 feet by 8 feet. If in case I haven't mentioned that.
Okay.
It's possible.
I'm sorry, did you say 4 by 8?
A 5 by 10. I could check that because I think that might be a better format, but I'll look. I'll see what's available.
Okay, so that would be about how many works?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I mean. I'm gonna take a little walk down and measure up and see how many would fit across there.
Okay. Thank you. Do you guys feel like that's a good list for now?
I think that gets us, I think it gets us where we want to be.
Can you just do a quick vote on that? So I can say it's true.
Mary Lynn's up. Anyone else? I can't see all of you right now. Okay. I think we're good. Carried.
Do we, sorry, just one more question. Do we need to have an idea of what the botanical business would be offering as part of the budget? Or Scott, did Allison mention that?
Well, she did actually just in our conversation with us right now. The budget that I threw out there was about, I think I had 19,000 as a rough total. And Allison did say that she was fairly confident she'd probably be able to match that. Even if she were to get close, some of those expenses, I didn't say this, but some of those expenses could very easily or should even be borne by us, the committee for public art, like cleaning the wall, prepping it, is probably something we'd have to do regardless of what we chose to do down there. So even if she came in at 80% of that rough budget, I think we'd still, all we'd have to do is tailor the process according to what we earmarked for a budget, right? So maybe the honorary, if we don't have as much as we thought, the honorary amounts drop slightly, or we don't have as many shortlisted artists or things like that. So we just maneuver that a little bit.
And then if we do go with the concept of having the panels, as opposed to, going right on the concrete, as a they may be more interested in that because it's more of a permanent piece, as opposed to they pay for this project and then in 2 years it gets painted over.
Right.
Me as a business owner, I would want my contribution to be a little bit more permanent.
Right.
But I didn't hear that part, that they would contribute the lion's share of that budget. I didn't hear that. Sorry.
That's a good point, though, to make sure that that's clear, that it wouldn't necessarily. I mean, there's an inherent assumption that you paint a wall, it's not going to last forever. Nothing does. So there's that. But I think you're right. I think it's important to make it explicitly clear that perhaps as the first thing, if we, you know, if we said, well, we'll guarantee you 3 years of presence and then go on from there, that's probably going to be about the life expectancy of the paint on the boards in any case, you know, depending on what materials are chosen. So after that, I don't think anybody would maybe want to see their name attached to something that was deteriorating and not being kept up.
Well, there would be another option. We could let them have those boards. Maybe they'd have them refurbished for their own use,
Could be.
and we would just buy another set of boards.
And they could go elsewhere in the community too. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. You know, there's lots of different options about how a work finds
Right.
its life after that. Yeah.
I think, you know, using vinyl, so doing the, you know, the wrapping, I guess you call that, with an image will last longer and stay bright and intact. Might be another way of going about it. It would be a quicker wrap as well, as opposed to artists painting on those panels. I've had some good success with, you know, with wrapping vinyl.
It works great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a nice option.
Yeah.
Scott, was there any conversation with Allison about recognition of the donation? Because I think, you know, we would have to look at how the municipality, and I'm not familiar with the process, but how the municipality does recognize donations in this way. So I would just caution being careful not to promise anything till we figure that out.
Oh, absolutely.
Opposition.
Yeah. I mean, I would think we'd want a small plaque describing the work and the artists involved, and then, you know, graciously funded in part by Sangre de Fruta or something like that. But I know that Allison certainly doesn't have any expectation that there's going to be a big billboard with her company logo on it. So, but yeah, we would have to clarify that as well, for sure. Yeah. I don't want this thing to drag on too much longer. We can keep that on future discussion. Is there anything else? Can we move on from the lock wall?
Did I add to the list that we're thinking in terms of summer 2021? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Can't hear you, Steph.
That's an amendment, friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment. Late friendly amendment.
Lead objector.
Yeah.
Since it's February now, should we try to come up with some kind of timeline?
We should. I think if I'm gonna, or Steph, between Steph and I, we're gonna light a fire under Phil's butt. We'll get a template out. I think he's got one he's already working on. So that's something that we should really get on top of. So we may, if this is okay with everybody, in order to, rather than wait till the following meeting to get anything ahead, if we have a template draft that Steph can forward to everybody, and you have an opportunity to weigh in on and make some adjustments to, that we can kind of have that confirmed and ready to go by the next meeting, so that we're sending it out. Is that acceptable? Okay.
But
Can
we
make
should
that
find,
an action item. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marilyn.
we should find out about the drilling into the blocks though, right? First, because that kind of is hinging on this whole concept, right?
Well, we definitely need to look at that, but you know, that doesn't preclude doing artwork. It could be that we just paint directly on them this time and think about the boards the next time, or whatever. But
Okay.
I can certainly make that. I have to call Rachel anyway. I can certainly make that
Okay.
add that to my discussion with her. I have to talk to her about cleaning the whole thing anyway. So Steph, you and I will bug Phil. Get on that.
Tag. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I can't, where are we here?
So we're just on this, it should be really quick. It was the direction from the committee from last time.
Oh, yes, yeah, that stipulation that we're gonna, ensure that we're informing all the artists involved in any work on projects that we are undertaking restoration or maintenance on. We all agreed on that one. It was an unfortunate situation. Does anyone need backfill on that episode? Are we okay to move? Okay,
No, we just did the wording. The wording is highlighted in yellow.
great. Inventory review.
No, you gotta sign off on it because it's
Oh,
gonna,
sorry, do I? Okay.
yeah,
Signing off.
that the committee recommend that council amend the policy.
Yes, all right. Are we voting on that, or I'm just,
Yes, please.
okay, vote, all in favor that we're gonna submit that amendment? Yes, okay, we're good. Thank you, Steph.
Moved by Scott, seconded by Maureen.
Seconded by Maureen.
Thank
I
you.
love it. You guys, see, you guys are keeping me so on track. It's good, it's good. Inventory review, Steph sent out.
So that was in action from the last meeting. Was the next meeting, we're supposed to review this inventory to confirm accuracy of artist names. I don't know that we have time to do that.
No, we don't have time to do that right now. Let's table that one. And is that one for me?
That's for everybody. It was just to go through and make sure
Oh, okay.
it's accurate. There are no gaps.
Yeah, there was some information missing, obviously, but
Mhm.
we'll leave 7.4. That get tossed over to me right now. And 7.5, Jamie.
You're muted.
We are, sorry about that. 7.5.
Public art ideas. What
Oh,
does
with
SIRP
the-
stand for? Who knows?
Oh, it was a federal grant that we wrote to finish off the landscaping around the Bowen Gallery,
Yeah.
the Hearth Gallery in the library. We haven't heard anything yet. I think
Okay.
March was when when the decision would be made. So
Okay. So
there's not
nothing
much to report on that. No.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Oh, we're electing now. Moving on to 8.1. I can't speak to that. Is that you, Steph? Or are you running that one?
So you can just ask if anybody wants to put their name forward, or if
Oh,
you
yeah.
nominate anybody,
Okay.
you can
Absolutely.
really do that.
The position is open if anyone wants to jump in.
I'd like to nominate Scott to resign as chair. Could I have a second?
Oh, I second it.
All right. Thank you.
Yay.
All in favor, hold on.
Oh, wait. Yeah, right.
That's so fast, Scott.
It's fast. It's hard to see hands here.
Yeah.
They were all up.
And you're doing a great job. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. As is everyone. This committee is actually functioning quite well, I tell you.
And we need a vice chair.
And we need a chair. Oh, that's me. Chair is me. Vice chair. And that's Mary Lynn for anyone who's not aware right now. Mary Lynn, I would vote to have Mary Lynn remain in that position, but if anyone
I'd second that.
does Mary Lynn want to remain in that position?
Oh, you don't ask her.
Oh, you don't ask. Okay, no.
This happens every year at the beginning of the year. It's the most bullying time of
So
well,
I'm
flattering.
All in favor of that, of retaining Mary Lynn in that beautiful role? Okay.
Beautiful.
Right.
Thank you, Mary Lynn. Yay. Service. Okay.
So, and then we're not necessarily doing annual schedules with all committees or this committee, but well, it is in the terms of reference to take a look at it. If you want to have an idea of how often to meet or, yeah.
Well, I mean, our schedule was obviously highly disrupted by COVID and everything else going on and whatnot. But given that we've got a, it feels to me like there's been a lot of catching up that we're doing from such a huge break that we had over the last year. And also we're enthusiastically throwing a lot more things on our plate now, also in preparation for the spring and summer coming up, which is kind of would be the active time for our committee. And we all know how much has to go in. So before we actually make any work happen in the world. So I would like to at least attempt a meeting every month for now. Assuming, of course, we often take a break late summer. We don't have one, just so everybody's on holidays and things. And then fall is upon us. So does everybody feel okay about like trying very hard to make another meeting in about a month?
Yeah.
In a month?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And we'll continue like that, Steph, for the next while anyway.
Okay, is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
You have no choice.
This is. Okay.
Next meeting, Steph, I'll just let you send out a doodle poll again, please, rather than
I
us.
think we've got a big bump and a lot of work ahead of us.
Sorry, who was talking?
Councillor Nicholson.
Maureen? Oh, I didn't hear that.
You're on. You're just quiet.
What happened?
Oh, she just said we have a big bump and a lot of work ahead of us.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I was booted out for a moment there. I was just saying that the monthly meetings make sense just because we do have a lot ahead of us to get some traction.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, for sure. Okay, good. Thank you.
Can I make one stab? And if it fails, I'll go to doodle.
Yes.
Tuesday, March 9th at 1 o'clock.
Everyone calendars out.
Works for me.
Yep, fine with me.
Fine for me.
Me too.
Sorry, did you give a time there, Steph?
1 o'clock.
Sorry?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, same as, works for me.
Sorry, I had to get my calendar. Was it the 9th at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. It's written in ink now.
Whoa, wow. That's serious.
Oh, that's commitment.
No revisions. Okay. Good job, Steph. I appreciate that. Well, that worked out. Better this way.
So could I ask, what are the next steps then with the potential business sponsorship? Who's getting back to our delegate?
Right. So one of us will be hearing back, either myself or Gillian, possibly Steph, about from Allison to see if they can see how close they can come to that rough proposed budget. I've got a number of things on my task list in preparation for any future steps. So we would be addressing a template for the open call, which we would like, what I'm hoping is we have one that we can agree on and accept at the next meeting so that that open call can be submitted out into the world like very quickly. And then there's just some technical logistical things to figure out, whether, how many boards, what the cost would be, whether we can mount, potential for cleaning. That's something that we could have done. So I don't know if, these things are noted here and there. I'm not sure how much more.
Okay, I was just concerned that we were going to respond promptly to the funding offer.
Right.
I can reply to her and just give her what our next steps are.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sure.
So 10 minutes overdue, but I would maybe move to adjourn now. Is that okay for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scott, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you all. That was great. I think we're gonna have an exciting summer ahead. So looking forward to continuing all this work. Appreciate everyone's input.
Thanks.
Too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone have a good afternoon in the sun. Bye-bye.